right, everybody, welcome back to part two of this bag of nuts packaging we got to do. Let's continue by putting on all of these fancy graphics. Let me show you what happens when. So we got to put on. First of all, we got to put on these peanuts, and you can see we got a mask right there for it. I turn that off because I'm not listening to that garbage. We have Mr. Platter with the drop shadow. We have bag of nuts with a drop shadow. And so we turn the peanuts back on. And then we have all these peanuts sitting at the bottom. So let's get crack-a-lackin'. Let's start with all those peanuts in the field back there. No, wait, cancel that. I want to hide that. There you go. Thank you very much. I have given you a file with, what am I doing here? 11... assignments, bag of nuts, student files. I've given you a file that looks like that. It is a bunch of peanuts. So bring that into Photoshop. I'm just going to drag it down here and load it into Photoshop. There we go. And I am going to separate it there a little bit. All right. I'm going to hold down Shift, grab the layer over here, this little guy. All right, holding my Shift key down, and I'm going to drag him into my working document right there. And we don't need him anymore because we now have him here. And he's a little bit bigger than our actual bag, but it's actually really close. So let's just keep that. That'll work perfect. We could clip it, right? We could clip mask it to this to the bag itself, but instead we're actually going to build a mask. So let's do one thing. If you hold down your Command key and you're going to click on the little picture there of the bag, of bag 1, all right? So if you hold down your Command key and click the little picture itself, it will do a selection for you like it has done right here, right? Let's do that again. Deselect. Command click the little picture over here, and there you go, and you get a selection, although it doesn't let you look at it in the view. That sucks. But you get marching ants around your bag, and that's how you do selections of things that are on layers. If you just need to select everything that's on a layer and make it a selection, that's how you do it. That's the easiest way to do it. All right, let's turn our peanuts back on. And on this peanut layer, let's call that layer nuts, by the way. Let's label our layers. And on that peanut layer, we are going to go down here and click on that circled square, right? That's our mask tool because we have a selection going. Clicking on that circled square will make a mask for us. So that's pretty cool, right? All right, I'm going to do it again real quick. Click. Nope. Click. Click. Come on. There you go. Sure, if you got time. I guess not. Boy, Photoshop's really fighting me today. All right, there we go. Delete layer mask. I'll do it again. So I'm going to turn the peanuts off for a second. Command click my bag, get my marching ants, go back up to the peanuts, and click the circled square down there. Click, and it makes my mask for me right there. Now it's a little bit bright, so let's turn the layer opacity down. I think let's turn it down to like, it really just needs to be in the background. I bet if we kept it at 30 opacity, we'd be in business. I mean, it's faint enough that you can't see it, but it's bright enough that you know it's there. All right. And by the way, if you need to turn the mask on and off, you can sort of see me there. If you hold down the Shift key and click on the mask, you can toggle it on and off. All right, so it's on. That's not too bad. What else do we have to grab? Let's look at our deal. Let's grab these peanuts right here and put those on. You should thank me because I have given you a PSD file of nuts and these are from Pixel Squid. Let me find them right there. There they are. Let's drag that into Photoshop. It's those guys right there. It's a bunch of peanuts, 3D peanuts, might I add, from Pixel Squid. And they're in a group, and they're on 3 layers. Now, theoretically, we could grab this whole group of peanuts. Let's just grab the whole group. All the group that says peanuts, hold your Shift key, and let's just steal the whole group and drag it over. There we go. We don't need you anymore. Don't save. So now we have a folder with 3 groups of peanuts in it, and I don't know what I'm going to do here. Let's figure out which ones we want to use. They're all kind of big. Excuse me. So I'm going to start with the bottom one, and I'm going to just free transform it. Command T, and I'm just going to start free transforming it and set it somewhere down here. They got their own drop shadows and everything, so that's kind of nice. All right, and then maybe the second one from the bottom. That one's kind of big. Let's free transform that down a little bit, and maybe I might just put it in front of the other one, maybe a little bit larger. Something like that, so we sort of see it. I might even flip it horizontal. It might work a little bit better. And what's the third one look like? That one's kind of cool. Let's do that third one from the bottom of our list of peanuts. And I'm going to scoot that all down there. Something like that. You can rearrange to taste. I'm not going to use the very first one. I'm going to just throw it in the garbage. I don't need it. All right, so I have 3 layers now of nuts. They're still in that group called peanuts. And the fun thing about that is even though they're cascading off the edge of our bag, we can use that mask we made earlier. We could steal that mask and put it on our group. Or we could put it on each layer, but why not just put it on the group? So I'm going to close this group now. I'm going to hold down my Alt key, right? I'm going to hold down my Alt key and grab my mask. I didn't know you could do that. Interesting. That might be new. Alt and drag it up to the layer of the peanuts, the group, and steal that mask, and you can see it clips the mask there, or the nuts there. I'm gonna unlink this real quick. There's a little chain link in the middle, right? I'm gonna click it and break the chain, so you can see now it's gone. And now the mask will stay put, but I can move the nuts around a little bit. All right, so the mask will not move now, just the nuts inside the mask. So maybe right about there. I'll relock that just for the sake of it. And that's just clicking in between the mask and its image. You could also do it down here on the peanuts, and same thing. All right, so that's cool. What's next? We got a couple elements in. How about we do bag of nuts? Let's do the text. I gave you a file called, it's a ping file. Normally I'd have you grab this out of Illustrator just to show you how you could do it out of Illustrator. But since you're working from home, I don't know if all of you have Illustrator loaded, so let's just use it as a ping file. It doesn't have a background on it, it's just the text. So I'm going to grab that and bring that up into Photoshop. And that's what it looks like. It's got a transparent background. All right. Let's hold down our Shift key. Let's go back to the bag of nuts there. Hold down our Shift key, grab our bag of nuts layer, and drag it across. And I'm going to close this because we don't need it anymore. No, thank you. All right, so here's a tool we haven't tried too much yet because it's still fairly new. I'm going to call this nuts text just to sort of make sure my layers are all labeled and they make sense. Okay. Okay, so the nuts text we just brought in, this guy. We're going to do a free transform warp. So Command T, again, as usual. And I'm going to scale it down just a little bit so it kind of fits on the bag right there. And then I'm going to go right click on the inside and go to warp right there in the middle. Now, I know before we've used to seeing that grid that pops up, and this is one of the new things in Photoshop. They're letting you now add your own grids, which is kind of cool, and I guess I haven't played with it much, but we're just going to add the grids back in. So go up to the very top here where it says grid default and click 3 by 3. If you hit that little arrow, and you could change it to 3 by 3. So if you do that, it adds the 3 by 3 grids back in. All right. Now you could actually start pulling these around a bit, which is kind of what we're going to do. We're going to get this, I'm just grabbing inside the squares here a little bit. And the other new thing is you can now grab these points and they have Bezier curves handles on them, so you can sort of stretch these things out the way you want them and then readjust. Like maybe I want this to sort of curve around like this, maybe, and readjust. and make it kind of fun and whimsical since the bag is such an odd shape anyway, right? So you can go through now and start grabbing these handles, and maybe that one's not so cool. Not that any of this is really cool. Um, so go ahead and adjust to taste. We may have to resize here in a few minutes, but for the most part, our heart is in the right place. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this yet. I have to play with it some more. So anyway, that's kind of how we would do a sort of fun, whimsical warp, I guess. All right, so come up with something like that. If you need to stop for a second and just play with it, that's fine. But get it in there roughly in this sort of middle third-ish, so it goes over the middle third of this deal, right? Until you have something you like. We'll probably have to scale it down just a little bit, but close enough for now, okay? All right, we need to add one more thing to this, and that is the Mr. Platters guy. Where's he at? There he is, right there, the Platters logo guy. He's also a ping, which means he's on a transparent background. And there he is. He's a little bit big. Let's, in fact, he's going to come in really big. So go to your Platters guy, hold down Shift, drag the layer across. All right, close him. We don't need him anymore. Back to this guy, Command 0. And he's huge. So Platters, PEA, peanut guy. Just name my layer. All right, so make sure you have that layer selected, the one we just brought in, the Platters guy. Free transform, Command T again, Command 0 to zoom extents. There we go. Now you hold on your Shift and your Option key and drag him down so he sort of fits on the package. Ideally, that layer needs to be behind the bag of nuts. See, this is why we're going to have to sort of do some adjusting. So he's going to have to be right about there on the tearaway, which means I'm going to go back to my bag of nuts and I'm going to free transform this just a bit and move it down. Since he doesn't have a lower half, the B is kind of hiding the part of him that's missing. So adjust accordingly, go back and adjust your text, go back and adjust your Platters guy. My Platters guy is a little bit big. I'm going to scale him down just a hair. There we go. Something like that. So he's behind your bag of nuts and stuff like that. All right. Pretty cool. That's kind of all we need to do at this point. Here's what you guys can do, though, according whatever you like. For example, let's just say I'm going to double click the Platters layer and bring up the layer styles. We may want, if you look at my original, I have drop shadows on him, which kind of gives him some space and things like that. I'm going to let you do that. I'm not going to go through every single bit of that for you. You've done that a million times. So I'm going to let you do it to taste. So I'll do the first part. I'll do the Platters logo. Do a drop shadow. Before I do any drop shadow, make sure you're in the move tool up there. That way you can grab the shadow and move it around. So double click on that again. Drop shadow at the bottom. Oh, that's right. It doesn't let you do that. All right. And you can see the shadow already right there. But I'm going to reach in and move it down. And like I said, I'm going to do this to taste. Okay, let's say 50. That's not a bad drop shadow. That's all right, I suppose. Pretty good. All right. And you know what else I may want to do? You know that little gradient trick we've been doing all semester? Not that one. Not that one. Jeez. My little gradient trick. The one where we do, let's pick black. Black to transparent. Black to nothing. And I'm going to do reflected and set it to overlay. So we can do our little overlay trick, right? So now you can sort of see the effect that it's having. Oh, that sucks. That effect it's having right there. It kind of runs a little highlight line right through the middle. And like I said, you can adjust accordingly. I don't know why it's not letting me move it. Let me see if I go back here if it's going to let me do it. There it goes. Now it's letting me move it. So that's a nice little gradient trick. Remember our little gradient overlay, black to transparent, and reflected as the style. So that's pretty cool. Let's just go with that. And I'm going to just steal those effects and put them on my bag of nuts. You can do what you want, but I'm going to hold down Alt and I'm going to steal that little FX logo, right? Alt and put it on there. Ooh, that doesn't really work though, does it? I'm going to have to go back and edit that gradient out a little bit, tone it down just a hair. All right, that's not too bad. I will let you play with those and do kind of what you want. But you can see I got a nice little drop shadow and a nice gradient overlay. All right, I'll let you finish that. We'll come back for part 3 where we will put on the final, the bag ripples and things like that. I'll show you how to do that. All right, come on back.